defense that we all thought would be elite, so far watching them all offseason, it looks like they're going to be elite. The offensive side of the ball is where the questions are at, and I think there's still questions after watching them so far throughout training camp, and there probably will be questions for the first part of the regular season. Who among the receiving core is going to step up? I'm not sure the receiving core has been everything you wanted it to be so far in camp. Will the offensive line stay healthy? So far in camp they have, and as a result, they've run the ball really well. Will Jalen Hurts take care of the football? We know they win when he does. He's got 11 interceptions in training camp so far. That's more than the last 3 training camps combined. So the ball is being turned over at a concerning rate so far through training camp.
Hugh, I mean, we talked a lot about this every day, you know, where this team is at and where they're trying to become. And Elliot said a lot there that I agree with, that the defense probably will be excellent. But Hugh, the offense, and look, that it goes to tonight a little bit. I know these are going to be the backups, the number 2 quarterback, but I just need to see the offense start progressing because it just feels to me like it's been the same story basically the whole camp, which is the defense is way ahead of the offense. The offense has struggled. And this week, Hugh, they seem to struggle a little bit against New England. Like, I really could use an offensive performance that makes me feel good because I have legitimate concerns about where they're at as we get, I mean, it's getting close now to the start of the regular season.
And you know what? It's fair to have those concerns, Joe and Elliot, because when we see it, that's all we get a chance to see. It's not like we have a measuring stick of what this offense is. But I will say this because I was listening to everything that you said, Elliot, and you're right to have those concerns about the offense. But I look at it differently in the sense that I'm looking at it as a team that really didn't want to take chances throwing the football last year. They were real conservative in the last 2 seasons where they tried to keep the ball on the ground and give the ball to the running backs and everything. So I feel like even though there's a lot more interceptions, I feel like there's a lot more chances being taken with the football, especially when you talk about across the middle. And when you have that, you're going to have some timing issues, especially when you talk about the fact that you don't have your number 2, you don't have both of your receivers out there that you're going to kind of go to your primary guys.
So it's funny with the turnovers in training camp. I agree that I think they're mostly related to timing issues. I think there's also a talent issue with the receivers. Like they're getting knocked off of their spots. You didn't see that with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. But it's funny, last year, they didn't really have a big reason to be conservative with the football outside of the results were normally good. But you had A.J., you had Devontae. It's funny going into this season how we're like, take chances with the football, run a more complex offense.
And then you don't have
when
the
they don't have the talent, right? So you would think last year is when they should have been doing these things. This year, they're really banking on a lot of guys that, like Hollywood Brown's had a good NFL career. Elijah Moore has had a solid NFL career. But they're not guys that you go, okay, let's make sure we're getting them the ball a ton. So it's funny the mindset versus the talent going into this year.
And that's kind of how you look at it. And like I said, you don't want to poo-poo what you're saying because everything you're saying is totally on point. But you have to look at it like Jalen's taking more chances with the football. And he has to get comfortable, Joe, taking more chances with football because we know Jalen hasn't thrown a lot. I mean, he can do it, but he hasn't done it a lot in this offense.
Well, no doubt. I mean, Elliot, the other thing that goes with all that, and what I think is fascinating about this offense during the season is I'm okay, and I've said this a lot, I'm okay if they turn the ball over more, but they have to have more touchdowns. Like that, it has to kind of even out. There has to be a balance to where, okay, if we have more turnovers, do we also have a touchdown more per game on the board? Because if they're scoring 22, 23 points a game, which is kind of like last year, but also turning it over more, that's not going to work. Like this only works, and I've been following your camp stats. We all have. There's more interceptions.
Wonderful stats, though.
Was that?
Awesome stats.
They're incredible stats. That's why we talk about them every day.
That's why they do them around the league now.
But they do. You're a trendsetter. But there doesn't seem like there's a huge increase in touchdowns, right? Like there's been more picks, but it's not like touchdowns are there, too.
He only has 14 touchdowns so far in camp. He only had 14 last year, too. So the touchdowns have definitely gone down over the past 2 years. Not to get into a full-fledged debate here, but I fully disagree that more turnovers is acceptable this year. Like, obviously,
even if they score more points?
Well, I mean, look, if you're scoring 10 more points, yes. Yeah. But if you're only scoring 3 or 4 more points a game, I don't think your record is going to be any better. In fact, I think it'll be worse if you're turning the ball over. Like, there is a clear-cut way this team wins. They take care of the ball, they play good defense, and they run the ball. Like, that's the formula. That has what worked. And I don't know why there is this obsession with trying to change a formula that even last year worked. They should have won 12 games. They got a home playoff game. They won the division. They didn't win the playoff game, right? But I think that overall, over the past few years, you have seen it's very clear. When they win the turnover battle, they win the game. So when I see 11 interceptions in training camp, I don't think that's all on Jalen. In fact, I think the majority of it is not on Jalen. But I think we're going to see a team in the regular season that is going to have turnovers off of things they didn't in the past. Wrong routes being run, timing issues, balls being dropped and popped up in the air. Like, that's what I'm seeing that results in turnovers. But you're right. I'm also not seeing more touchdowns.
Yeah, and what, I agree with you. There's going to be more turnovers. Just put the state of this offense, right? Like throwing over the middle, and we've seen a lot of the Eagles have posted some clips. Obviously, the Patriots posted some clips.
Certainly posted one clip.
There's a lot of them that you realize like stuff happens, like bleep happens when you throw the ball over the middle, right? You throw a one-on-one on the outside, it's probably incomplete or it's caught, right? Those aren't usually interceptions.
They're safe routes.
They're safe, exactly. Or the ball will go out of bounds or whatever. Yeah. They're just setting it up to be where there's more of those, but there has to be production. I mean, Hugh, this whole thing can work, but there also has to be more points on the board. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, and I envision this offense, if you get your guys rolling in the direction you want to roll in, when you have those crossing routes and stuff, that is timing. But I also assume that the reason why they want them to work, because it gives you the ability, when you have so many different people in coverage and running with different guys, that you can turn it up yards after the catch.
Well, that's the whole Shanahan system,
the yak after the catch. And I think that's why, it's unfortunate that for us, we didn't get to see a whole lot of Devontae Smith in the preseason, because when you think about this offense and the young man,
Mackay.
You see, I'm trying.
We got it.
Trying to get close.
I think he's got to earn you knowing his name too.
But
it's
one of those things where exactly that's exactly.
Finally, someone gets it.
Yes.
But it's one of those things where we go into this preseason. And we're talking about how we're going to unlock the middle and all this other stuff, and we don't have the guys on the field that we need.
Well, we don't. You know what? Let's talk about Mackay and the other rookies, because I think tonight and the next few weeks is interesting for them. The early returns on the rookie class, what we expect tonight, and as we get closer to the season. This is the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
The summer heat means it's time to crank up the AC again, which means it's time for you to go Gaida. Keep your home cooling more efficiently and save on high energy bills by replacing your old, drafty, inefficient windows and doors with my good friends at Gaida Door and Window. Right now, Gaida is offering their best discounts of the year with their big 40% off summer sales event on all expertly installed windows and doors. Receive 40% off each window you buy. That's right, 40% off all high-performance energy-efficient triple-pane windows. And get 40% off any door, including insulated entry doors, patio doors, garage doors, and storm doors. Plus, get your project started today with no money down and pay it off interest-free for up to 18 full months. All prior sales excluded, minimum purchase required. Don't let these big discounts pass you by. Go Gaida today to take advantage of these limited-time savings by calling to schedule a free in-home estimate at 877-GO-GAIDA or visit them at GoGaida.com. That's go, GUIDA.com.
Fall means football, and the ultimate game plan starts in your kitchen. At D&K Appliances, we carry winning brands like GE, Bosch, Wolf, and Sub-Zero. So whether it's game day grilling, chilling drinks, or post-game cleanup, we've got you covered. Family owned with personalized service. D&K Appliances delivers, installs, and supports every play. Visit our showrooms in Newtown Square or Flowertown, or online at dkappliances.com. D&K Appliances, the dependable difference.
In the year 2021, all pet food sold comprised of 94% dry kibble. And now, 5 years later, only 61% continues to be kibble. And everything else is alternative fresh diets. At the Dogs and Cats Rule stores, we've been the leader of fresh premium foods from the beginning. Whether it be raw, gently cooked, air-dried, dehydrated, freeze-dried, and of course that previously mentioned kibble, Dogs and Cats Rule has the largest selection of cutting-edge products of any of the neighborhood pet stores. That's Dogs and Cats Rule. Shop small, shop local, shop family.
A strong lineup can make a good football team great. The stuff of champions. At Deborah Heart and Lung Center, our lineup is deep. Cardiologists to cardiothoracic surgeons, electrophysiology to heart failure specialists, and everywhere in between. Offense, defense, and special teams. That's why Deborah is one of the premier heart hospitals in the country, right here in South Jersey. Remember, when it's your heart, you don't take chances. DemandDeborah.org.
Hi, I'm Paul Cozy from Cozy Jewelers in Newtown Square. At Cozy, we design every piece ourselves, right here, family-owned, and with the quality you deserve. People always ask me, Paul, does custom cost more? And I always say no. What costs more is settling for something that won't last. When you work with me directly, you get a piece you'll treasure for generations. Come step up to the 5th C at Cozy Jewelers. That's color, cut, clarity, carat, and cozy.
At Bradford White, we know trust is everything. That's why for over 140 years, our water heaters have been made right here in the U.S., using the finest materials and components from around the world. We also believe trust is earned, and that's why our water heaters are for professional installation only, making sure you always have reliable hot water when you need it. Because comfort isn't optional, it's daily life. Call your local plumbing professional today and ask for Bradford White, built to be the best.
In Philly, we go all out for what we believe in. And at Lincoln Financial, we're no different. Since 2003, we've been proudly flying alongside Eagles fans everywhere. Since 1905, we've been helping Americans with retirement, protection, and benefit solutions built to last. 120 years in, and just like the birds, we have no plans on slowing down. Lincoln Financial, the name behind the link. Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2025.
This Eagles season, get in the game at Acme. Save 5% when you shop at Acme on game days wearing your Eagles apparel. Plus, coming September 11th, enter the Swoop In and Win sweepstakes for your chance to win 2027 Eagles season tickets, groceries for a year, autographed jerseys, and more. Acme makes sure Eagles fans have everything they need to tailgate or host like a pro. Download their app to start shopping now. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles.
You're listening to the Verizon Business Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Business Pregame Show. Hugh Douglas, Elliott Shore-Parks, Joe Giglio with you as we get set for the second of three preseason games tonight. The Eagles and the Patriots, 7 o'clock kickoff. Merrill and Mike will be on the call. All right, guys, before we talk more about the game tonight, how about talking about some guys that might participate tonight, might not, but this rookie class? Because Elliot, the Eagles have had incredible returns on some of their rookie classes and receivers. I mean, most specifically 2024. I mean, Cooper DeJean in the second round, Quinyon Mitchell in the first, even J.Alex Hunt in the third. I mean, that was a home run draft class. And there's become this feeling that this is what Howie does now. But it's hard to have that kind of rookie production every year. And this year, from my view, it feels like it's a slower start for this rookie class. So let's talk about these guys and where we're at with them and where they are. We can start with the injury report, which involves Mekhi Lemon. The injury report brought to you by Stern & Cohen. Heard it work. Call 215-999-1443 or visit sterncohenlaw.com for a free consultation with their winning team. All right, Mekhi Lemon, he did return to practice this week, which is a good sign. Elliot, what did he do, and how quickly do you think we'll see him actually on the field?
Yeah, so Mekhi Lemon has started to run over the past week. On the second day of practice against the Patriots, he did take part in individual drills. He caught passes from Jalen Hurts. He had a helmet on. He had on shoulder pads. So it was really the first time I would say he truly participated in a practice since day 4 of training camp when he got hurt. It was almost 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago at this point. So he's been out quite a while. I would think he's not going to play tonight. I'd be stunned if he plays tonight. But I think next week they'll practice, I would guess, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, leading into the Friday game. I think you could see him practice in those games. And I think it's an interesting decision for the Eagles if they play him next Friday. But it's a good sign that he is starting to get back. Obviously, he needs the reps. You just have to hope that, that hamstring injury doesn't pop back up.
Hugh, I would play him next week if he can play. I mean, I just think he needs reps. And
I would not play him.
Well, okay, so one thing I think we should remember, Cooper DeJean played the third preseason game. Did he not? I feel like I remember watching him against the Vikings, third preseason game at home.
He did, yeah, and he played bad.
Yeah, 2 years ago. But he got on the field.
Yes.
So obviously it was some value to them. Hugh, if he's healthy, would you play him next week?
Nah. And the reason why, I don't remember Cooper DeJean's actual injury, but when
hamstring.
You're talking same thing?
Well, I mean, I don't know where it was, but it was this hamstring.
Well, I feel like with receivers, it's a little different because their bodies, I mean, even though it's the same injury, they're wired a little different. And the way that they have to run these routes and cut and slow down and stop and start and everything, he's your first-round draft pick, Joe. And you want to give him as much time as possible to get healthy.
Let me throw this in. Let's say he practices all week, Hugh. Let's go on the assumption he's healthy and practicing all week. Would you still not play him next week?
If he goes in practice, if he's cleared to practice all week long, I'll probably stick him out there for a couple reps, but I will not, he's not going to be out there that long. Maybe a series or two. Just to get his feet wet, throw him a couple passes, get him warmed up.
Yeah, you say get his feet wet. It would be weird to me if he has zero in-game experience in the NFL until they put him on the field in an NFL game in September.
But you also got to remember, Vic Fangio's different than Mannion.
Totally.
And Mannion might look at it like he doesn't want to take chances with the young guy because he needs him for the season. So it just all depends on going into it. Like that to me when Cooper was hurt, to bring him out there and put him out there, that's a Vic Fangio thing.
All right, let's go to the second-round pick. Elliot, curious your perception of Eli Stowers so far. It feels like it's been a slower camp. I saw a video the other day of him.
Not a great video.
It's kind of getting
really
bodied
locked
around.
up.
Yeah, not great. Now, we know he's got to learn how to block. He was more of a receiving tight end in college, so this was take time anyway. But what have you noticed, and where do you think he is in terms of, is he going to contribute this year at all?
So what's been surprising me about Eli Stowers is, obviously you watch his tape at Vanderbilt, you read the measurables, and you know he can't block. But what I expected to see was a player that stepped on the field and you went, okay, he can't block, but this guy is an elite receiving tight end, would have like the body and the game of, okay, he can contribute receiving right away. And that's what's been most surprising. I don't think he's gotten a single rep with the first-team offense. And I'm almost positive he hasn't gotten a single target from Jalen Hurts. Like, think about that, right? So we think somebody in Eli Stowers is going to play week 1 when he's not gotten a single target from Jalen Hurts in all of training camp. There's probably not another player over the past few years where that has happened. In fact, it wouldn't shock me if it would shock me if it ever happened. So in terms of his ability to contribute right away, unless he's an unbelievable special teams player, I don't think he's going to be active week 1. I think he could potentially be a healthy scratch. So it's been a challenging camp for him. I do think compared to Mekhi Lemon, Eli Stowers they drafted, I would think, with 2027 in mind more than 2026. Mekhi, I think they hoped would contribute right away. So Eli Stowers, not a great start, but they got a full year to develop him, I think more so than Mekhi.
Third-round pick, Markel Bell, would you say he's been the most impressive of their rookie class so far?
Yeah, probably. I mean, he's gotten tackle reps at both spots. He's gotten first-team reps when Lane hasn't been out there. And I think, he's going to get that first shot at replacing Lane beyond this year. He's played good enough where you wonder if Fred Johnson's roster spot is completely safe. Maybe he'd be a practice squad guy that they could promote if needed. But, yeah, Markel Bell has been good. Cole Payton, we saw last week at the end of the game, can do some things. But, with how impressive their rookie class has been the past few years, how he's due for a miss, how he's due for a clunker of a draft class. And it's too early to say that completely with this class. But, early results on the initial first 2 picks have not been good.
Hugh, how important is it for these guys to contribute early? And if they don't, when do you start wondering if they can play? As if they don't, because it does feel like they're behind some other Eagles rookie classes, right? The Quinyon Cooper, JLX Hunt,
that's an anomaly.
But that certainly makes your team better, right? Like, if you can get that, it's a boost. It doesn't feel so far that they're going to get a huge boost out of this particular class this year.
I feel like this, Joe. Let's break it down to draft picks. Your first-round draft pick, I think that he has to contribute in some way almost immediately.
Agreed.
Your second-round draft pick, that might be somewhat of a project. That's how it used to be.
And that feels like that with Eli.
But I will say this, that nowadays, especially when you talk about the necessity of certain positions and everything, like a JLX Hunt, guys come in and they surprise you. And now, when I was playing, there weren't as many teams running like pro-style offenses or pro defenses like there are now. So I think that the ability to contribute earlier is somewhat expected from all the draft picks, but there are still certain anomalies that occurred. The first round draft pick, I feel like he got to play it immediately.
All right, on the other side, we talked quarterbacks a little bit there. Cole Payton. Let's talk about the battle for the number 2 spot. Who might start tonight, what we're looking for, and what we saw last week. Andy Dalton, Tanner McKee. We can even throw Cole Payton in there. The guys behind Jalen Hurts, the battle for the number 2 quarterback. We'll talk about that next and look forward to tonight. This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Hey, this is Brian Veazey, the new PNC Bank Regional President. Sticking to the fundamentals and not wavering from the game plan is a great philosophy for football and banking. And for 160 years, that's been the winning strategy behind PNC's approach to helping our customers. Locally, dedicated PNC teams are in formation to help fans receive sound and reliable, personalized financial advice. Because, as we see it, a win for them is a win for the greater Philadelphia community. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
At this point, the entire Delaware Valley is wondering, how low can Jack go? It's time to see for yourself at Dell Chevrolet. Jack's dropping it lower than ever with huge Dell discounts, low APR % financing, and no money down available every day on a brand new vehicle. Only at Dell Chevy, located on Route 30 in Paoli. Online at DellChevrolet.com. If you're worried you're going to pay too much for your next car, you don't know Jack. Say habla español. Together, let's drive.
Jack, sell them for less.
This is Merrill Reese. When it comes to your roof, it's like football. Good planning is essential. That's why I've got a brand new gorgeous roof from Impriano Roofing. Jack Impriano and his 4 sons are a true family business, using only quality, certainteed roofing products, serving our area for 5 decades. Accountability plus. It's good to get a brand new roof from Impriano Roofing. Visit Impriano.com. That's Impriano.com. The best homes have an Impriano roof.
Has your air conditioner struggled to keep up this summer? Don't wait for a costly breakdown. Now is a great time to replace your old system while you can still enjoy better cooling today and be ready for the heating season ahead. From now through November 20th, your local Carrier dealer may be offering up to $2,100 in instant rebates and 60 months 0% APR financing to help make a new Carrier system more affordable. To find a local Carrier contractor, visit nopaycarrier.com. Carrier, turn to the experts.
The working families of Laona Labor's District Council of Pennsylvania, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia are proud contributors to all aspects of growth in this great city. The Labor's District Council provides safe, well-trained, productive workers who enable projects to be done on time and under budget. We appreciate our signatory contractors and their commitment to fairness and equality. Laborers, we're building a better future today.
Brought to you by the Laborers District Council Licit Fund.
Our fans deserve the same passion in the broadcast that they bring to the stadium. That's why I trust Rothman Orthopedics. Calling a game takes concentration. Living with pain makes it hard to stay focused. Having surgery at Rothman was one of the best decisions I've ever made. If you're looking for expert orthopedic care from a team that's helped our community stay active for over 50 years, rely on Rothman. Schedule your appointment at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com.
Dear Eagles fans, Toyota's a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles and official automotive partner of the NFL. The Toyota Corolla and Camry make big plays with style and efficiency. RAV4 is an all-hybrid game changer. Grand Highlander's got room for your whole squad. And the rugged Tacoma and Tundra control the line of scrimmage. Visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
Game day starts with Kendra Scott. As a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles, Kendra Scott brings you jewelry inspired by the colors that unite every Eagles fan. Shop exclusive green and silver styles or explore Color Bar, where you can create a one-of-a-kind piece that's uniquely yours. Visit your local Kendra Scott store or KendraScott.com. That's KendraScott.com and wear your Eagles pride your way all season long.
In Philly, we go all out for what we believe in. And at Lincoln Financial, we're no different. Since 2003, we've been proudly flying alongside Eagles fans everywhere. Since 1905, we've been helping Americans with retirement, protection, and benefit solutions built to last. 120 years in, and just like the birds, we have no plans on slowing down. Lincoln Financial, the name behind the link. Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates. Copyright 2025.
This is the Verizon Business Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Business Pregame Show. Hugh Douglas, Elliot Shore-Parks, Joe Giglio. Dave Spadaro will join us coming up in a few minutes. Next hour, we'll be joined by the legendary Merrill Reese. The Merrill Moment of the Day will be part of the show as well as we get set for the Eagles and the Patriots tonight. 7 p.m. at Hugh, when they take the field, well, we know it'll be either Tanner McKee or Andy Dalton as the starting quarterback tonight, and then the other one will come in, and then we'll see Cole Payton. Hugh, where are you on the backup quarterback battle? Obviously, most likely it is between Andy Dalton and Tanner McKee, even though last week the only guy to move the ball was Cole Payton. How do you feel about this battle right now? Because it just feels like neither has stood out so much in camp so far.
Well, I think part of that is because they're still trying to get familiar with the offense, and yes, last week, Joe, they got behind schedule. When you look at it, I feel like they went into the game and they had the plays that they want to run that they were comfortable with. But like I said, I think the first play was a penalty, and they got behind the sticks a little bit.
Eli Stowers holding, I think it was.
Yeah.
Sounds like last year.
Yeah, and they didn't want to change the game plan because normally going into especially the first game, you don't game plan a whole lot. So I'm thinking, and I don't know this for sure, but I was thinking that they just wanted to run the plays just to see what happens. So I think this week there's been an emphasis on, not making a whole lot of mistakes and just giving the offense, the fundamental offense, a chance just to see what it looks like. So I think this week There's not going to be any, false start penalties or anything like that at the beginning. And if it is, I would assume somebody's going to get cussed out, and we get a chance to see the offense look a lot better than it did the week before.
Elliot, what's your anticipation on who starts tonight? Last week we got Dalton, then we went to McKee, and then Cole Payton came in at the end.
I mean, I would guess Tanner McKee. It sounds like they're rotating. If it's not Tanner McKee, I think that'd be a pretty telling sign of where this is going.
Yep.
Being down in New England for the 2 practices versus the Patriots, it felt like Tanner McKee started to get maybe a little bit more of the second-team reps than Andy Dalton did, which is probably still pretty 50-50. But I think at this point, if you're the Eagles, you have to be a little concerned about what you're seeing at the backup quarterback spot. I know it's not getting a ton of attention because there's so much focus on the starting offense, but if, God forbid, Jalen were to go down, like these are their 2 options right now. Andy Dalton has struggled in the NFL the past few years, and they're telling us how they feel about Tanner McKee by creating this entire backup quarterback controversy. So, I know it's just preseason. I know people don't care about the results, blah, blah, blah. Tanner McKee and Andy Dalton playing tonight is absolutely huge. Like, you need to see something positive from them, or they need to start looking around for another backup quarterback.
All right, one thing I think is important to kind of figure out here, and Elliot, you might have a good sense of this, is how much of what you think they're going to decide is based on tonight, last week, versus what they see in all the days you're at practice. Because most people don't see the practices, where they go out for your reports, or, Hugh and I get to be there once in a while. But the games, we saw it last week. Neither of them looked any good. And it's not over the top to say the only quarterback that had a pulse last week was Cole Payton, who was more of a project, right? They're not going to make him the number 2 this year.
And he mostly ran around.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, probably not an option at this point. So the 2 guys, how much do you think this is between how they play in these games versus what they see in practice?
So I think the Eagles value more what they see in practice because they're seeing them in situations they're putting them in. There's more of it, right? Like, you figure Andy Dalton took, 11 snaps last week? They're not going to decide off 11 snaps. But where it does matter tonight and last week is the rest of the league gets to see that. So from a perspective of they're probably not going to keep 4 quarterbacks, I wouldn't completely rule it out, but I think they're unlikely to. If, Andy Dalton really shines tonight or Tanner McKee really shines tonight, and internally they're basically the same guy to us, then you could flip the guy that plays better. So in a weird way, whoever's playing better in these preseason games might be less likely to be the backup in a roundabout way.
Are they going to get anything for these guys? Like Hugh, when they,
Tanner, you would think, but
he's a free agent to be, right? Like, it's not like you're getting him for the long term. I mean, Hugh, when they got Andy Dalton and Tanner McKee was still here, I just assumed they were going to trade Tanner for something. And no one thinks they're going to get anything huge for a backup quarterback that's on the last year of his deal. But Hugh, I thought they'd get something for him. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where this is going. It's a weird quarterback battle that I don't see where it's going for them.
I think you should look at it like this, Joe. There's always going to be a team, especially when you start talking about guys getting cut, that there might be a place for Tanner McKee to land.
But for
and
what, a 6th or 7th round pick?
That is a good question because it all depends on what the Eagles might potentially be looking for. We don't know because I think that they're still evaluating a lot of positions. Still haven't heard a whole lot about the safety position. And it doesn't feel – I'm not saying that they feel like there's an issue there because it might not be, but it's one of those positions that when we were going into this, we had some concerns as fans. So there might be a opportunity where players might get cut or something like that, or it might be a swap trade or something. So I think that's why they're holding on to Tanner McKee because we all know quarterbacks are a premium in this league.
Well, it's interesting. How many times have we seen an asset depreciate under Howie Roseman?
Very rare.
Very rarely,
this
right?
One has. Tanner has.
This feels like a Dombrowski Phillies thing where it's like they hold on to him too long, and then the next thing you know, they're not worth anything. We never know for sure. Howie's a good read on the market, but it feels like a year ago they could have traded this guy for a 3rd round pick. We were talking about if you would trade him for a 1st or not, right? And now
he wanted the 9th pick in the draft from the Saints 2 years ago.
Yeah, I wanted it.
Yeah, well, that's why he's a good businessman.
I know.
You got to ask big. But,
ask for the moon.
But it's very rare we see a player worth less under Howie by the time they get rid of him than he's normally very good at that. So, yeah, it's surprising how they've handled this Tanner thing.
Yeah, and to your point on it's a weird backup quarterback year for the Eagles. It reminds me a little bit, Elliot, of 2020. I mean, that year started as Wentz, Sudfeld, and Hurts was 3rd. I mean, that's how that year started. Yeah. Elliot, by the end of the year, do you think Cole Payton's going to be their 2nd best quarterback? I do.
I mean, so 2nd best quarterback and backup quarterback are 2 different things.
They are.
I think he is already their 2nd best quarterback. Like, you could argue Andy Dalton just because of the experience.
Sure.
But if I had to win 3 games, I don't know, man. Like, Cole Payton, watching him in practice, he might turn the ball over. He'll give everybody what they want.
But he makes plays.
He'll give you 30 points, and he'll give you 4 turnovers. Like, he will throw some crazy passes. He'll run around, but he's also reckless with the ball.
Yeah, he also got away from that sack last week, which I thought, he has look, part of the reason Jalen has been as good as he's been as their starters, he has mobility, right? He gets away. The other two guys, I didn't see any mobility. I never thought Tanner was very mobile. And Andy Dalton is 38 years old. Like, it was a difference last week, Elliot, when Cole Payton came in that he just could get away from the pressure and make some plays.
I think Tanner, his lack of mobility really showed against Washington last year. And I'm wondering if, while it's just one game, if that might have been the breaking point of, like, he's just not mobile enough to play in the NFL, but he's played good every other time. So I'm very surprised at how they've handled this.
And he usually plays well in these preseason games.
Exactly.
Last week he didn't. All right, so we'll see tonight if it's Tanner or it's Andy Dalton. Maybe we'll get some word from our guy Dave Spadera. He's going to join us next. Tell us who should we be looking for tonight, and maybe he has a sense on who the starting quarterback is for tonight's game. Dave Spadera joins us next. We got a lot to talk about. This, of course, is the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
While the sun's out and the summer's in full swing, Kitchen Magic wants to help you fall back in love with your kitchen. We've been a family-owned business right here in Nazareth since 1979. And for over 45 years, quality and craftsmanship have been our promise. This summer only, 40% off installation with flexible financing options for every budget. Don't wait for someday. Visit kitchenmagic.com and let's build something beautiful together.
Auto Lenders chooses their cars like the birds pick their players. They carefully scout only the very best. Some are built for speed, some for power, some for utility. And with their rookies, there's barely any mileage on them, so their upside is incredible. You see, Auto Lenders has a deep bench, thousands of one-owner, low-mileage vehicles, all for thousands less than the competition. So we can't be beat like the birds. Fly, Auto Lenders, fly. Proud sponsor of this year's coin toss.
Kick off game day the right way this season with Hers, the snack that's rooted in Philly. They've been a hometown favorite for nearly 8 decades and counting. So when you say their first team all flavor, you can taste it. Hers runs a deep roster of unbelievable flavors like zesty, sour cream and onion, sweet and smoky honey barbecue, and slightly spicy jalapeno kettle chips. So next Birds game, you can't help but go for 2. Bags, that is. Hers, rooted in flavor.
Finally, football season's here, and we all know the biggest games come down to making the right call. Same goes for the biggest decision of your life. John Ritchie here. When I was ready to pop the question, I trusted Benari Jewelers. They've got a great selection of diamonds for every budget and people who actually listen and help you get it right. They even created a one-of-a-kind ring for me and Alicia. When it's meant to be, it's Benari. Benari Jewelers in Exton and Newtown Square and BenariJewelers.com.
Dear Eagles fans, Toyota's a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles and official automotive partner of the NFL. The Toyota Corolla and Camry make big plays with style and efficiency. RAV4 is an all-hybrid game changer. Grand Highlander's got room for your whole squad. And the rugged Tacoma and Tundra control the line of scrimmage. Visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
If your water heater doesn't say Bradford White, you're missing out. Our products work harder, longer, and more efficiently. Every tank is manufactured right here in America using the finest components from around the world. Only available through trusted wholesale distributors and installed by pros, not DIY. We're professional grade from start to finish. When it comes to water heaters, leave it to the professionals. Bradford White, built to be the best.
When your AC loses its cool or your water heater loses its heat, it throws your whole day off. You can't think straight. You're like, what grade are my kids in? I'm not left-handed. There's only one cure. WM Henderson Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical. We'll show up same day and get your AC or hot water or wiring back in shape with 100% satisfaction and no emergency service fees ever. WM Henderson will get you thinking straight until you forget your internet password again. Schedule now at WMHenderson.com.
No magic words, no wishing of home. All you need is scratching. Play the Wizard of Oz family of scratch-offs from the PA Lottery with big top prizes. Play today. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly.
This Eagles season, get in the game at Acme. Save 5% when you shop at Acme on game days wearing your Eagles apparel. Plus, coming September 11th, enter the Swoop In and Win sweepstakes for your chance to win 2027 Eagles season tickets, groceries for a year, autographed jerseys, and more. Acme makes sure Eagles fans have everything they need to tailgate or host like a pro. Download their app to start shopping now. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles.
No magic words, no wishing of home. All you need is scratching. Play the Wizard of Oz family of scratch-offs from the PA Lottery with big top prizes. Play today. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly.
You're listening to the Verizon Business Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Business Pregame Show. Hugh Douglas, Elliott Shore-Parks, Joe Giglio with you. We'll lead you right up to the Eagles and the Patriots tonight, 7 p.m. up in Foxborough. And we're looking forward to seeing a lot of guys on the field tonight. Who's going to start a quarterback and who's going to move the foot? Hopefully we see the ball moving a little bit more this week than last week, but an excellent defense on the other side as well. Let's talk to our guy, Dave Spadaro with the Eagles, to get a little insight on what we might see tonight and where this team is a little less than 3 weeks from the opening game against the Commanders. Dave, how are you?
Guys, I'm good. Thank you. Looking forward to this game. And I agree. The Eagles offense really needs to move the football. And I thought they did that at times in the two joint practices this week here in Foxborough.
Dave, do you have a sense of who might get the nod starting at quarterback tonight and then how that battle is going? Because it feels like one that I can't call right now. I mean, based on what we've seen in camp and based on last week there wasn't much to show us, but the number 2 quarterback, Andy Dalton, started last week. Do you expect the same tonight, or could Tanner maybe get the first rep tonight?
Yeah, my sense is that it's going to be Andy Dalton. And I don't know if there's a hierarchy here at play. I listened to what Elliott was saying. I don't agree with that. The idea that if they don't move the football tonight, they're going to look for a backup quarterback. I think the Eagles, contrary to public opinion, or at least you guys' opinion, the shine is not off Tanner McKee. I mean, when you put Tanner McKee out on the field with players who are going to be in the NFL, I think you will see a different Tanner McKee if it ever comes to that. But I believe, tonight my sense, and it's only a sense, is that Andy will get the start, but that both guys will play a relatively equal amount. But certainly they've got to move the football.
Dave, we did mention last week, and if there was one exciting part on the offense, it was towards the end of the game, fourth quarter when Cole Payton came in. What is your sense of his progression here? I think they have something here as a developmental quarterback, and the best teams always find a way to develop at that position and just have something in the pipeline. I like what he brings to the table. I thought it was fun last week. What's your sense of where he's at in his progression as a fifth-round pick?
Yeah, good first game, moved around a lot, did not feel the moment was too big for him. Obviously, North Dakota State to the NFL. Love the way he hung in there and led the touchdown drive at the end of the game. And certainly a dual-threat quarterback. I think he's a long-term project. I think there's a lot to work with there. I've met with him. He's really intelligent. He understands where he is, where he's got to be. This is an offense that requires great footwork, great precision, great timing, and his mobility is a big factor. But I don't look for him to do anything in the near future. I think he is somebody that you look for, 2 or 3 years down the line.
You know what, Dave? When you talk about like long-term projects, we were just sitting there talking about Uar Bernard. What did you see from him last week, and when is the realistic timeline for him that we will probably get to see him on the field?
In a regular season game? I mean, I can't answer that one. That's a lot. And I'm on the broadcast booth in the meetings with Vic, and we met with him yesterday talking about Uar, and the guy literally did not put a helmet on until this spring.
Yeah.
It is. I thought he played. He actually shed a block.
Yes.
Got into the gap. Had an opportunity to make a tackle. Was really mad at himself for not making the tackle. That's tremendous progress. But to the point where he would actually be on the field, I just don't have any idea. He is a long ways away. Tremendous athlete, tremendous worker, great attitude. But you've got to keep it in context. And it took Jordan Mailata 2 years on injured reserve to get on the field in year 3. And that's an offensive tackle where you can kind of isolate him a little bit. There's so much sophistication on the defensive line.
I like
and
that word,
timing and
sophistication.
coordination.
Yes.
You know, it's everybody thinks all the dumb guys just go get the quarterback. And Hugh, as we know, that is not the case.
I feel
That is not
but
the
no,
case
but
at
no,
all.
Dave. To be honest, that's why I was asking, because when I saw him out there, you talk about like raw talent, just strictly raw talent. He has that.
Yes.
It's
he has
the
raw athletic ability. He has raw athletic ability.
Yes.
Does he have football talent?
Yes.
You know, what Vic really believes is, like, you have to have instincts.
That's the word.
How quickly
Yes.
How quickly can you develop instincts if you've never even put on a helmet until 3 months ago?
And that's what I guess, you know, in a way, that's what I was asking, because I saw the raw talent. And you know, it was one play where it was reversed. He got cut one time and things of that nature. And I was just kind of curious, you know, you're talking about a guy who has not played the game, and you see young kids learn how to, you know, shed cut blocks and everything like that. I was just kind of curious about how you think the timeline is going to go for him to learn those instincts.
I mean, it's going to be a long one, and I can't predict, but I mean, it would be a miracle to get this kid on the field in the next year or so.
Mm-hmm.
He'd never been cut block in his life. He's never literally never tackled anybody in his life. You know, we went through in the meeting the progression and becoming part of the international player pathway program, and they don't really like give you any basics. I think they just prepare you to run really fast and lift a lot of weights and do all the combine things. But as far as like knowledge of the game, it is ground zero with Uar Bernard and with Joshua Weru. So the Eagles are going to be patient and, you know, give him some time. I'm sure that Uar will play tonight, and we'll see what he learned. The key is what he learned from week 1 to week 2. And if you see improvement, then you go, wow, this is really impressive.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it almost is similar to, we see this in baseball a lot. You know, when players sign at 15, 16 years old from a different country, and they bring them here and kind of make them understand the game and the universe we have here and the country and the language. It's like a whole program. And then, you know, down the line, they contribute and become, you know, hopefully star players. So we're going to be watching UR tonight and into the future. Dave, we appreciate it as always. Enjoy the game tonight, and we will we'll talk to you next week. One more of these, and then they start to be for real against the Commanders on September 13th. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, guys.
There he goes, Dave Spadaro with the Eagles, downplaying the backup quarterback concerns there and saying Tanner's still well-loved within the organization.
Yeah, so I obviously have a ton of respect for Spuds.
Sure,
He's a legend. But I mean, I don't like my question for Spuds. I'll love to ask him next time I see him. If they still love Tanner so much, why did they strip him of half the reps and make him compete for the job that was his last year?
It's a fair question.
I don't get it. I mean, do they love Andy Dalton? They traded a conditional seventh for Andy Dalton, and the other team paid, I think, like half of his salary.
I also wonder if Tanner doesn't fit this system. You have to move. You have to get on the run. He doesn't move.
I mean, maybe Mannion doesn't think he's a fit for this offense, so they might not trade for another quarterback. But you can't convince me they're just as high as on Tanner as they used to be.
Yeah, I mean, certainly our antenna is up, trying to figure out the backup quarterback there. All right, coming up on the other side, something that Vic Fangio said this week got me thinking about the depth at a certain position as we get closer to week 1. This is the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
This is Merrill Reese. When it comes to your roof, it's like football. Good planning is essential. That's why I've got a brand new gorgeous roof from Impriano Roofing. Jack Impriano and his 4 sons are a true family business, serving our area for 5 decades. Accountability plus. It's good to get a brand new roof from Impriano Roofing. Visit Impriano.com. That's Impriano.com. The best homes have an Impriano roof.
Birds fans will tell you, the other team might not notice the early warning signs of trouble, like the quick hits, the pressured throws, the third and longs. Heart failure can sneak up on you too. The early warning signs can be subtle: sudden weight gain, loss of appetite, persistent cough, and more. It's a serious condition that needs expert care from a team like Deborah Heart and Lung Center. So if something's just not right, take a time out and ask a Deborah specialist. DemandDeborah.org.
The working families of La Labor District Council of Pennsylvania, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia are proud contributors to all aspects of growth in this great city. The Labor District Council provides safe, well-trained, productive workers who enable projects to be done on time and under budget. We appreciate our signatory contractors and their commitment to fairness and equality. Neighbors, we're building a better future today.
Brought to you by the Laborers District Council Licit Fund.
At this point, the entire Delaware Valley is wondering, how low can Jack go? It's time to see for yourself at Dell Chevrolet. Jack's dropping it lower than ever with huge Dell discounts, low APR % financing, and no money down available every day on a brand new vehicle. Only at Dell Chevy, located on Route 30 in Paoli. Online at DellChevrolet.com. If you're worried you're going to pay too much for your next car, you don't know Jack. Se habla español. Together, let's drive.
Jack, sell them for less.
This is Paul Cozy from Cozy Jewelers in Newtown Square. Your wedding band should last a lifetime, so why settle? We're family owned and design every piece ourselves. When you work with us, you're getting quality jewelry crafted with care. And you're working direct with the designer, me. Step up to the fifth seat and get a wedding band you'll treasure forever at Cozy Jewelers. That's color, cut, clarity, carat, and cozy.
Has your air conditioner struggled to keep up this summer? Don't wait for a costly breakdown. Now is a great time to replace your old system while you can still enjoy better cooling today and be ready for the heating season ahead. From now through November 20th, your local Carrier dealer may be offering up to $2,100 in instant rebates and 60 months 0% APR financing to help make a new Carrier system more affordable. To find a local Carrier contractor, visit nopaycarrier.com. Carrier, turn to the experts.
Our fans deserve the same passion in the broadcast that they bring to the stadium. That's why I trust Rothman Orthopedics. Calling a game takes concentration. Living with pain makes it hard to stay focused. Having surgery at Rothman was one of the best decisions I've ever made. If you're looking for expert orthopedic care from a team that's helped our community stay active for over 50 years, rely on Rothman. Schedule your appointment at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com.
Auto Lenders chooses their cars like the birds pick their players. They carefully scout only the very best. Some are built for speed, some for power, some for utility. And with their rookies, there's barely any mileage on them, so their upside is incredible. You see, Auto Lenders has a deep bench, thousands of one-owner, low-mileage vehicles, all for thousands less than the competition. So we can't be beat like the birds. Fly, Auto Lenders, fly. Proud sponsor of this year's coin toss.
Kick off game day the right way this season with Hers, the snack that's rooted in Philly. They've been a hometown favorite for nearly 8 decades and counting. So when you say their first team all flavor, you can taste it. Hers runs a deep roster of unbelievable flavors like zesty, sour cream and onion, sweet and smoky honey barbecue, and slightly spicy jalapeno kettle chips. So next Birds game, you can't help but go for 2. Bags, that is. Hers, rooted in flavor.
This is the Verizon Business Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. Hugh Douglas, Verizon Business Pregame Show. Hugh Douglas, Elliot Shore-Parks, Joe Giglio. All right, guys, Vic Fangio said something this week, right before that first joint practice, Elliot. And it flew under the radar because we were all locked into the A.J. Brown thing, right?
Yeah, I was videotaping him come out of the locker room.
I mean, you did a good job. You and the Bulldog Dave Uram
shout
up
out to the Bulldog.
in New England. But one thing that Vic said caught our attention. That was asked about Jonathan Grenard and would he be ready for the start of the season, or was he worried that he wouldn't be? Vic said, yeah. So, Elliot, my question is, let's assume that he's not going to be ready or might not be ready. What is the depth looking like? Like, what is the pass rush looking like without Grenard? J.L.X. Hunt is obviously having a great camp. We spoke to him a couple weeks ago. He just seems poised.
He's locked in.
Yeah, like he's going to have a big year. I feel really good about that. But that they need a lot more snaps, right, than just J.L.X. Hunt, especially if Grenard is down. What have you noticed with the other edge rushers, specifically the depth behind, let's say, J.L.X. and then Nolan Smith?
Yeah, so I do think it's noteworthy in the answer talking about Grenard. He also said Nolan Smith is having a good camp. So, Vic Fangio, as we know, he doesn't just say things. He means what he says.
And he would be the other starter.
And he would be the other starter. So I think assuming Grenard is not ready for week 1, which I think is not maybe like a fair assumption at this point, but at least certainly seems up in the air. I think it would be J.L.X. Hunt and Nolan Smith. After that, you're looking at Arnold Ebiketie. I think he's had a pretty good camp. Thought he had a few good reps in the preseason game last week, if I remember correctly, and I think he'll play tonight, and we'll see how he plays tonight against the Patriots. So after that, A.J. Epinesa, he has had, I thought, a good camp. He's gotten some compliments from Vic Fangio. He's actually been pretty good the past few years. Not like starter level quality, but as a backup, he's had some decent numbers. Has a lot of pass deflections, interceptions. So
he's tall. He's pretty long.
Yeah, he could potentially, do what Vic wants, which is, they drop their edges into coverage. So I think you're looking at those 4. But after that, they don't have a lot of guys there where you think they'd be ready for snaps. Keyshawn James Newby, the 7th-round pick, I don't think he's going to get out on the field. Joshua Wayru, who Spadero just talked about, he doesn't seem completely ready. So it really is just those 4 if Grenard's not ready.
Hugh, I'm looking at that position tonight, right? Like Jalen Hunt's awesome, and I think he's gonna have a big year. But they need something out of the rest of the group, because if this Grenard thing lingers, Hugh, we talked about a couple days ago. Just looking at the first month of the season, they're gonna face Jaden Daniels. Week 3, they're going to face Caleb Williams. Week 4, Hugh, they're going to face Matt Stafford. Like, they're going to see some productive quarterbacks and offenses early in the season. They're going to need their edge rushers to get those guys.
Yeah, no question about that. And the way that it's usually set up, they like to have a nice rotation to keep some of the guys fresh. So if you got one guy that you were counting on to be a starter that's not out there, it puts a lot of pressure on other guys. And not only that, like Nolan Smith, we talk about what Nolan Smith was going to be a few years ago. We're still in training camp, but From the reports that I've seen, haven't said his name a whole lot.
But Vic seemed to shout him out.
Yeah. But it's one of those things when you talk about being in practice and everything, it's almost like Jalen Hunt is becoming more of the prototypical linebacker that you want him to be, as opposed to Nolan. So you want to try to keep those guys as fresh as you possibly can. And if Grenard's not out there, man, that's going to kind of mess up the rotation.
Well, the interesting thing about Grenard, too, is, it's not like when all of a sudden he's healthy, he's going to be getting 80% of the snaps. Vic Fangio has said there are things Grenard needs to learn in this system, and he's not practiced at all in training camp. So I don't think it's going to be a Bryce Huff situation. I truly don't. But I think the lesson from Bryce Huff is Fangio is not going to play you if he doesn't think you know his scheme and he's confident with you out there. So the hope is Grenard can pick up the scheme quickly and get out there.
Well, and I agree it's probably not going to be a Bryce Huff thing, but if it lingers, Grenard had a shoulder surgery in the offseason, and it was banged up at the end of last year. To me, the concern becomes Nolan Smith has also not been durable, right? So I'm starting to just fast forward into the season against these big-time quarterbacks. Like, who's going after the quarterback? Let's hope, and I look, it would be a great story if Nolan Smith has a Jordan Davis kind of resurgence. Because a year ago, we weren't sure about Jordan Davis.
Certainly has a financial incentive to do it.
Of course he does. That would be a great outcome for the Eagles. If by the end of the year, we're like, whoa, they got all these edge rushers. But in a world where Nolan Smith, has had durability issues, Grenard having durability issues, it just feels like Jalix is the only thing that we can count on entering the season.
Yeah, and Jalix is interesting because I think he has all the upside in the world. He was already one of the best edges in the league last year. I think he was top 20, if I'm not mistaken, in total pressure.
Well, you've been high on him the whole offseason.
Yeah, I had him in my top 10 Eagles. So I had, I've been on the Jalix Hunt bandwagon. But no, I agree. Like, if Jalix Hunt isn't awesome, and the good news is he has been awesome, but if he's not awesome, then your pass rush really becomes an issue. Now you have the interior defensive tackles you feel good about. You have really good secondary players. You have good linebackers. So they have talent everywhere. But yes, the edge position could get thin pretty quickly.
Hugh, of the guys that Elliot mentioned beyond the top guys, Ebiketie, Epinesa, do you like one of those guys? I mean, Ebiketie was an interesting signing coming from Atlanta. I wonder if there's more to him than we've seen so far in his NFL career.
I like A.J. Epinesa. And I like him because I think he was the one that was in Buffalo. He's a pretty decent pass rusher.
He's had years of 6+ sacks. Like, he's had a career so far.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's not probably going to give you double-digit sacks, but he's going to use some protection at that position. And, the last week he played pretty decent. So that's a guy that I think that's probably going to factor into the rotation when you talk about the linebacker spot.
Elliot, you said something that I think is worth noting and watching tonight. It's not just going after the quarterback. You got to be able to drop into coverage. And I think early in the game last week, they got Epinesa on like a wheel route. The Ravens got him with a running back. So, those are the things tonight. How do they do on those other snaps? Because to me, it seems like that might dictate if they get playing time with Vic.
Yeah, and look, I think it's the case with all coaches. I mean, Hugh could talk about this better, but Fangio is a guy that he really has to trust you to put you out there, unless it's an extreme situation, right? But so I think the fact that Grenard and Fangio won't have a lot of reps together in training camp in terms of Fangio getting to watch him run the defense could be a factor. So even when he is healthy, assuming he doesn't start the year on PUP, like in his first game, is he playing 35 snaps? Is he playing 40 snaps? Is he only out there in pass rush situations? Because ask Bryce Huff how hard it was to get on the field only in pass rush situations under Vic Fangio. So look, Grenard seems like an awesome guy. He's very vocal out there. I can see him with his teammates. But it's going to be a bit of a long journey for him to get back.
Hugh, physically, stamina-wise, let's say Grenard doesn't get into a practice till like week 1 of the season. How long do you think it's going to take him to feel like he can go out there and give them like high-level snaps?
I don't think it's going to take that long because he's practicing, right? In the way that
he's not practicing.
Well, I mean, he's working out. Right. I'm sorry, he's working out. He's
running and stuff.
Yeah, he's doing all that stuff. I feel like going into this and the way that they run their rotation, he can go out there and be productive. They'll probably give him 20 snaps a game because it feels like, and you're out there trying to play, Elliot. It feels like they try to keep the guys fresh for the most part.
They like to rotate. The Eagles like to rotate.
Especially the linebacker spots. Yeah. They like to keep those guys fresh. So it's not a situation where you're talking about him getting 60 snaps a game. You're probably talking about maybe at the beginning, to start him off slow, like 15 to 20, and at the max, maybe 30 a game.
Is this a position they could target before the season if guys get cut? I mean, I'm sure people are listening right now wondering, like, hey, are they going to go back to the BG well again? I mean,
I will say this,
It feels like they're a little thin.
I will say this. With the money that you've paid Grenard and then the other linemen out there, I mean, what can you really get that's going to give you the type of production? You talk about who was the guy that was here last year that left, that just signed with
Smith.
Zadarius.
Oh, yeah, that retired. Cleveland.
He went to Cleveland, but he went to Atlanta. He went to Atlanta.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of guys out there that are going to give you quality snaps that are not on team. So if
that brings us back to BG. If they need a body.
But the tough thing is it's not. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, with all due respect, with BG probably, BG slanging shoes.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, the game passes all over at some point. And like I said, I love BG, but I think it's just time, for him to.
Well, he's a defensive tackle now anyway. So that's what he played last year. Yeah. I think the concern is when Grenard comes back, if you trade something of substance for an edge or you sign somebody for decent money, now you have 5 guys there, right? Whereas, Ebiketie, you paid him a decent amount of money. You want Nolan Smith to play. So I think they're just really hoping Jalix, Nolan Smith, Ebiketie, and Epinesa can hold this down until Grenard is ready.
It's funny, like for 2 years, they keep doing the same thing of trying to add more around Smith and Hunt, but it just keeps coming back to Smith and Hunt. I mean, that's their pass rush goes as those two guys go. And, last year, the trade for Philly, it just feels like Howie's always kind of looking at that position unsure of it. I mean, he's really poured a lot of different things into it for a lot of years now, including a big trade last year to get Jalen Phillips. We'll see how it looks starting tonight. All right, coming up, we're going to look at a position that is under the microscope, obviously. The wide receiver group. What do we expect tonight? And Elijah Moore is a name that keeps coming up. Has he pushed his way into this thing that he could be a big part of it? This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
After participating in joint practices, the Eagles and Patriots face off in an inter-conference matchup.
I think we got a lot of good work. We had some really good plays. We had some really explosive plays.
Preseason game number 2.
Still on the process and the journey of improving.
It's Eagles-Patriots tonight in Foxborough. Today's game is sponsored in part by PNC Bank, PDQ Restaurant Point of Sale Systems, your Delaware Valley Honda dealers, Deborah Heart and Lung Center, Acme, Piazza Auto Group, Auto Lenders, WM Henderson Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical, and Verizon Business. You're listening to the Verizon Business Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865.
Welcome to the Verizon Business Pregame Show alongside Hugh Douglas, Elliot Shore-Parks. I'm Joe Giulia. We got ourselves a football game tonight up in New England. The Eagles and the Patriots. Preseason game number 2. They'll kick it off around 7 o'clock. Our guy Merrill Reese and, of course, Mike Quick on the call. We'll talk to Merrill coming up in a few minutes. But, guys, second preseason game, our second chance to see this team. And I feel like, Elliot, after a week of being in New England, watching the Eagles go up against A.J. Brown, I'm sure he'll be on the camera a lot tonight. Not playing, but on the camera.
Oh, yeah.
It's natural tonight to look at him on the other side and to then think about what we have as the Eagles wide receiving core. Elliot, expectations for who plays tonight and where do you think we're at with this receiving core? Because it's been a weird summer, right? Devontae Smith's been banged up, Mekhi Lemon been banged up, so other guys are getting reps, but it's hard to kind of understand, like, what is the depth chart right now when those two guys come back and then behind them?
Yeah, good night for AJ to read a book on the sideline tonight, right?
Awesome.
I mean, good weather, he won't be playing. Yeah, that'd be a good one by AJ. But so tonight, I would expect to see Hollywood Brown out there. I would expect to see Britton Covey out there. I would expect to see Darius Cooper out there. Quez Watkins, a starter from 2022. So, obviously, look, Devontae's not playing. Mekhi Lemon's not playing. I would not think Dontavian Wicks is going to play. And when you're not playing your starters, you're not going to see great depth. I understand that. But I think you get the picture by the names that I'm saying, that they do not have the receiving core that they did a year ago. I know it's just one player, but when you lose A.J. Brown and the gravity that he pulls from opposing defenses, and all of a sudden Devontae isn't the number 2 anymore, Devontae's getting the best matchup. Like, it was crystal clear watching these two practices, the Patriots have way better receivers than the Eagles do. Like, Romeo Doubs was really good. Demario Douglas looked really good. And I know Devontae wasn't practicing. I get that. But yeah, I mean, when you watch the receivers tonight, there will be guys playing that are going to be out there in week 1, like Hollywood Brown, like Darius Cooper. So yeah, those are players to keep an eye on tonight. And could they make a trade for a receiver? I think it would be smart. I would also look for a backup tight end that's a better pass catcher than Johnny Munt. So yeah, that's what I would keep an eye on tonight.
I mean, Hugh, it's interesting because we've talked a lot about Jalen Hurts and how he's looked at in this camp and what we expect from him this season. But it's not just Jalen Hurts, right? Like, he's got to throw to these receivers, right? So if they're good, it makes him better. If they're not as good, it's gonna hurt him at times because he's gonna be throwing guys. Like, there's been some videos I've seen where it bounces off someone's chest or someone might not be in the right spot. So it's that give and take. Like, Jalen could do what the coaches are asking, but if the receivers aren't where they're supposed to be, it's going to be challenging to be as good they want to be.
Yeah, and another thing, Joe, is like when you talk about this offense, and the thing that I remember about this offense is about timing, and it's about getting the ball out in enough time for the receiver can react to it and be in position. And a lot of times, if I recall it correctly, it was some quarterbacks that even threw to a spot, because this is kind of the I know it's not the same offense, but the concept is basically how Dan Marino used to play. Like, Dan Marino would throw a ball to a section and the receiver was there. Peyton Manning, the same thing. It's more about being comfortable with the guys that you have, knowing that they're going to do what they're supposed to do.
Elliot, let's think about the guys they have and the depth chart. Are we playing for jobs? I'm just trying to picture week 1, right? So Devontae Smith's the number 1 wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Mekhi Lemon is an interesting case to where if he's healthy, he's going to be active. I'm just not sure what kind of role he's going to have. I think he'll be active, early in the season. So how many receivers do you think they're going to take? And let's try to figure out what this depth chart looks right now. Is this 5 or 6?
So looking right now, my last 53-man projection, Devontae's going to make it. Mekhi Lemon is going to make it. Dontavian Wicks will make it. I think Hollywood Brown will. They gave him, I believe, $5 million fully guaranteed. So it's a lot of cash to cut. Maybe they could trade him, but I think he'll be on the team.
So that's 4.
Darius Cooper will be on the team.
Okay, so we're at 5 now.
So you're at 5. I think at that point you're looking at Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore has been awesome so far in training camp. He's caught the 2 longest touchdowns that Jalen has thrown. He has a ton of targets. Jalen seems to trust him. Now, you could cut him, put him on the practice squad, and promote him, but you might need him too much in week 1 to play games like that.
Is he I'm sorry, I want to frame this. Is he playing the slot? Is he kind of like Mekhi Lemon's backup?
I believe he's in Mekhi Lemon's role. Like what we're seeing Elijah Moore do, you're hoping Mekhi will be able to do. And I think, look, Elijah Moore was on a practice squad last year, but Elijah Moore has also had multiple seasons of 70 catches. Yep. Like, he has had some decent years, and you can see why watching him. So I think the issue with the receiving core right now is Johnny Wilson was cut yesterday. Didn't expect him to play a huge role on the team, but he was their only receiver on the roster over 6'1". You look at the size of some of these guys. Darius Cooper, undersized. Hollywood Brown, undersized. Elijah Moore, undersized. Mekhi Lemon, undersized. And so when Hugh's talking about throwing to a spot and throwing, into these tight windows, the catch radius of Jalen's receivers are smaller this year than it was last year. When you had A.J. Brown, I know he still has Devontae, Dallas Goedert, right? So, I think that the receiving core right now, there's a lot of duplicate players, in my opinion. So I think they'll keep 5 or 6, but they could use some height in the unit.
What it tells me as I hear all this, Hugh, is it tells me Jalen's going to have to be more precise because the overall talent and maybe their wingspan of these guys or their size, they're not going to be able to bail him out, right? Like A.J. Brown is a bail-you-out receiver. His ability is, you throw a 50-50 ball, maybe it wasn't perfect, A.J.'s going to come down with it. It just feels like they're going to have less of that this year. So Jalen's going to have to be super precise to get the most out of this.
I think that's what they're trying to get from him. But also, Joe, I think that in this offense, the way that I recall it is there's going to be outlet passes that he can make. If he can't throw it to the primary receiver, there's going to be a safety valve automatically built in where he can get the ball to him. But the thing is, you're going to have to get the ball out in time. You're not going to be able to make those off-schedule plays. Now, he is still going to do that because I think that's a big part of who Jalen is. But I think in order to get this offense running efficiently, that you're going to have to get comfortable, reading your keys, trusting the process, and trusting where to go with the football. Because a lot of times it's like you always hear people say, especially when you run in defenses, take what the defense gives you. We always hear about quarterbacks say, well, we're not going to give you the deep ball, but we'll give you everything underneath. So if that's the case, if people are afraid of Jalen throwing the deep ball or they're taking away the hashes, you got to start working the middle and take what the defense gives you, and then you can loosen it up a little bit, and then it opens up other stuff for you to do.
Well, and I think what Hugh said in there was important about off-schedule stuff, right? We talk so much about this offense and how players will work in it and all this, but there's going to be a lot of plays in the game where someone slips, a protection breaks down, and you are off schedule at that point, right? The scheme does not matter at that point. And one thing the Eagles, and why they've won a lot of games the past few years, is they had really talented players. Like A.J. Brown, super talented. Saquon, Dallas Goedert, Devontae, and they still have some of those players. But the problem about going off schedule is Hollywood Brown out jumping somebody for a ball? Like who on that receiving core is making a special play at that point? So yes, in a scheme you can do a lot of these undersized receivers, but a lot of these plays are going to break down. And are they going to be able to make special plays at that point?
All right, as you said that, it made me think. To me, if there's an X factor, like if you say we're at the link in December and the Eagles passing game is better than it being projected, like it's one of the better ones or top 10-ish in the NFL, it's good. I want to say, my guess is Datavion Wicks broke out. He became something real here. Probably not going to play tonight. Didn't play last week. That's a sign to me that he's the number 2 receiver. Elliot, what have you noticed with him? Because he's an interesting player. I like the trade when it happened. I thought there's upside there. I like that they immediately gave him an extension because if he hits, they got him for cheap next year. But it's been up and down. I remember watching games or having him on my fantasy team, and once in a while he'd break out of a big game, and then he'd disappear for 3 weeks. So you've seen him a lot. Datavion Wicks, how good is he, and what do you think he could be in this offense?
So there's a lot to like about him. He's a really good route runner. He has pretty good size. Again, he's not like 6'4", but he's not 5'11" either. I think he has long arms. You can see him going up and winning jump balls. And he makes some awesome catches, right? He had a touchdown in the joint practice against the Patriots. He had a catch in another drive that got them all the way down to the 2-yard line. So he has had his moments. I think the concern with Datavion Wicks, to your point, is consistency. Last year, he had drop issues during his time in Green Bay. He had overall pretty big issues with dropping the football. And I've not seen that a ton in training camp, but there was a play against the Patriots on day 1, or day 2 actually it was, where Jalen threw the ball to Datavion Wicks. Looks like it pops right off his hands and is intercepted. So stuff like that is the concern with Datavion Wicks. I think he'll make special plays. He's similar to Tariq Woolen in that way, like very talented, but there's just consistency issues. So it's been impressive, but for him it'll be week in, week out catching the football.
Yeah, Hugh, I'm looking at the numbers here, and it's interesting with Wicks, with Elliot's mentioned drops. Like there's a stat called catch percentage, how often when the ball's thrown to you actually catch it as a receiver. And you look at a guy like, let's use Devontae Smith, for example. His is pretty much the same every year. Like, he's pretty consistent.
Catching the foot, yeah.
When Jalen throws him the ball, he catches about 62% of the time. Wicks has had a year where he's almost at 70%. 2 years ago, he was only at 50%. So it feels like
he's up and down, sporadic.
He's up and down. Like, once in a while, he's great, and then sometimes he's not.
Yeah, but that also, there's a lot that goes into being able to get the football to the receivers. And I think that what this team is going to have to do when moving forward is everybody has to get comfortable with one another. That's why I thought it was pretty important that this offseason was the first time that I've heard that Jalen was actually working with his receivers, because that's going to be a huge part of what makes this offense successful is the fact that, there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to have to see Jalen get the ball out of his hands quick. And those guys are going to have to be in the position they need to be in for him to have success.
The other thing, Elliot, that I think is interesting, Jalen has been a guy that throws to few receivers. Like, he has his guys he trusts, and he just goes to them over and over again. And I do the same, right? If I have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. This year, it feels like it's set up for him to have to diversify, but he trusts certain guys. Like, so who's he going to trust in week 1 with the game on the line?
And it does seem like he trusts guys like Elijah Moore. Like, Elijah Moore is getting the ball a lot.
Well, so he's going to play then.
And I think the chemistry he's building with Jalen is really important. Darius Cooper, it seems like he's very willing to throw the ball to Darius Cooper in contested spots. Like, Darius Cooper is very good, I think. Like, he has hands similar to A.J. Brown, where he's just strong, right? Like, when he gets his hands on the football, he holds on to it. So he is getting reps with these guys. But again, like, Darius Cooper has never really played meaningful snaps in the NFL. Elijah Moore was available for the entire league last year and ended up on a practice squad. So, look, maybe on the Eagles they'll be better. But, yeah, no question. Like, Jalen doesn't have as many in-game reps with these guys as he did his old receivers.
I think it's why you got to follow Elliott's camp stats. It's not just about who we think should play.
Exactly right.
Who does Jalen trust? Because to me, if I'm Mannion, like, I got to put that guy on the field, because if I put a guy on the field Jalen doesn't trust, he's not going to throw him the football. All right, coming up on the other side, a guy we all trust. His name is Merrill Reese. He's going to join us, talk about the game, and we'll unveil today's Merrill moment as the countdown continues. Merrill Reese joins us next. This is the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Hey, this is Brian Veazey, the new PNC Bank Regional President. Whether the third down pressure is on or off, our team plays to win. That's why PNC is proud to be the presenting sponsor of the Eagles Radio Network, and why we are committed to moving your finances across the goal line. Because whether it's football or money, a strong, focused team is key to achieving your personal best. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Small business owners love what they do, and Verizon Business loves small business owners. That's why Verizon Business experts come directly to you, so you can spend more time doing what you love. Their experts show up on your schedule, ready to offer proven expertise and learn about the needs of your specific setup firsthand. And they won't quit until the solutions fit, even as your business grows. So save the time and stay where your business needs you the most. Verizon Business. Visit Verizon.com/book today to schedule an appointment with your local Verizon Business expert.
This is Mike Quick. PDQ POS is the MVP of point-of-sale solutions. Easy to use with the best support in the industry. And it doesn't take a bite out of your sales with costly fees. It's the choice of all concept food service businesses across the country. PDQ POS has real-time analytics and insights to evaluate your team and your play call. PDQ POS has been rated the #1 point of sale by restaurant owners for more than 35 years. So don't wait. Make the switch. PDQ POS today. Visit pdqpos.com.
Time now for some gentle advice from Hand and Stone. For once, listen to your kids, do what your boss said, and take the annoying advice from your parents. And don't wait for a stranger in the comment section to tell you. They said it, but when Hand and Stone says it, they mean it. Just relax with a tailored facial or relaxing massage at a Hand and Stone near you. Learn more at handandstone.com or visit your local spa.
When someone's AC is on the fritz or drains are just not draining at all, like at all, Horizon Services never asks, how soon do you need it fixed? You know why? Because no one in recorded history has ever said, oh, take your time, just whenever you can get to it. We just assume how fast can you get here will always be the answer. So Horizon will be there same day, and we won't leave until you're 100% satisfied. See? Sometimes it's good to assume. It gets your AC fixed fast. Book today at horizonservices.com.
Jack Fritz here. If your appliances aren't game day ready, my friends at National Appliance Warehouse are the team to trust. Their friendly and knowledgeable professionals will make you feel welcome, and they take the time to listen, answer your questions, and connect you with the perfect appliances. Choose from over 100 brands, comfortably displayed in their massive showroom, all guaranteed to be at the lowest prices thanks to Price Assure. Travel the road to victory to National Appliance Warehouse in tax-free Wilmington or Middletown, Delaware today. And as always, tell them Fritz sent you.
Game day starts with Kendra Scott. As a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles, Kendra Scott brings you jewelry inspired by the colors that unite every Eagles fan. Shop exclusive green and silver styles or explore Color Bar, where you can create a one-of-a-kind piece that's uniquely yours. Visit your local Kendra Scott store or kendrascott.com. That's kendrascott.com, and wear your Eagles pride your way all season long.
The pros know nobody beats FW Web. With extensive inventory, personalized service, and a fleet of trucks across the Northeast, FW Web supports all customers, from one-van contractors to large facility operators. For planned projects, emergency jobs, or maintenance, FW Web has what you need, when and where you need it. For plumbing, heating, HVAC, refrigeration, propane gas, and PVF jobs. With over 100 locations, visit FWWeb.com to find one near you.
We're going to talk about Eagles-Pats Monday from 2 to 6 on the
WIP Afternoon Show with Ike, Spike, and Fritz.
Sports Radio 94 WIP celebrates Merrill Reese's 50th year as the voice of the Eagles with another Top 50 Merrill moment.
As Cunningham is back, he's being trapped. He ducks under 3 men. He's looking. He's rolling. He's heaving a deep downfield for Barnett, who leaps and has it at the 40, at the 35, 30, 25, 20. Barnett's going to score! Touchdown, Barnett! Unbelievable play as Cunningham threw a Hail Mary for a 95-yard touchdown to Fred Barnett.
Top 50 Merrill moments from Sports Radio 94 WIP. Presented by PNC Bank and Impriano Roofing and Siding.
What a moment. Merrill moment number 26. The bomb, 95 yards, Randall Cunningham to Fred Barnett. And just watching that one before we got on the air today, my goodness, as we're joined here by Merrill Reese on the Verizon Business pregame show. Merrill, what a play. Great call, but what a play by Randall Cunningham. Merrill, he ducked away. That ball must have gone 60, 65 yards on the air on a rope. What a throw.
I remember that as if it were yesterday. I really do. Bruce Smith chasing Randall in the end zone, and then Arkansas Fred, as Buddy called him, halfway downfield. It was amazing.
Well, I mean, it was, and obviously Randall had a great arm, but he was going against his body, Merrill. He's rolling left to throw the ball 65 yards in the air. There's not many guys that had that arm, maybe ever in the NFL. That was incredible.
You know, once upon a time, I saw an Eagle in practice throw a football from end zone to end zone.
Wow, who was it?
Harold Carmichael.
Harold Carmichael. Didn't know he had that kind of arm. Merrill, that's pretty good. Merrill moment number 26. And we're going to have Merrill live on September 15th, Scottish Rite Theater in Collingswood. Merrill live, 94WIP.com for tickets. Merrill, how you doing tonight? You ready for preseason game number 2?
I am, because preseason game number 1 had a lot to be desired.
Yeah, it did leave a lot.
I'd like to see them pick it up, even though we're talking about all backups. But I'd like to see a little more continuity tonight.
Yeah, well, a little bit of how about a first down in the first half? That would be good. Merrill, it was tough last week on the offense, really, until Cole Payton came in at the end. And then finally you guys had some excitement there that last drive or two.
We did. I knew they were in trouble when I looked at the stats that said first downs, Baltimore 30, Eagles 2.
Yeah, I mean, Merrill, you've caught a lot of these. I couldn't think of offhand last week a preseason game that was that dull on offense for the first 3 quarters. And look, they're backups, we know that, but I would think, Merrill, tonight for you, for us, for our sanity, and for the Eagles, they're going to want to have a better showing tonight, just to feel good about where they're at.
Well, I think that it's another week, and they're coming off dual practices, so I think they'll be more prepared tonight to play well. But again, it's still the preseason. And what you see out here tonight, what you saw last week, doesn't mean a thing come September 13th.
It doesn't. Sometimes, though, players start to stand out a little bit. Merrill, I'm curious your thoughts on the inside linebacker battle going on right now, at least a perceived battle, where who's going to play next to Zach Bond. And, Jahad Campbell is a first-round pick from last year, a lot of talent. But every time I watch Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Merrill, including last week with you guys on the call, I'm impressed by him. What do you think of that battle and those 2 inside linebackers?
Well, to be honest with you, when you listen to Vic, when Vic Fangio talks about it, he says more positive things about Jeremiah Trotter than he does about Campbell.
I agree, Merrill, and it does feel like there's an instinct that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. has, that it feels like when he's on the field, he just knows where to be. It's one of those things that's hard to describe, but you see it and you feel it when you're watching him play.
It's nice to see 54 succeed once again, because his dad was such a great player and he grew up in that atmosphere.
He is. Merrill, let's talk about the wide receiving core. We were just talking about them on the pregame show before you hopped on. Guys we're expecting to see tonight, and really what that depth chart's going to look like when we get to week 1. Good news this week with Devontae coming back, Mekhi Lemon on his way back as he was working out. But there's opportunity here, Merrill, for the receivers. There's going to be passes to be caught by guys this year that are not named Devontae. They're going to have to throw the ball to other guys. Merrill, what's your thought on who we're going to see tonight and maybe who stood out to you in camp so far?
Well, even though he hasn't been that impressive in camp, I still like Hollywood Brown. I like his speed. I like getting him in the open and just seeing him downfield. I think he has a lot more than he's shown so far. Wicks has been very good, and, of course, Darius Cooper as probably the guy who's gotten the most accolades from the coaches.
He has. Merrill, I don't know if I've ever asked you about Foxborough in particular.
And of course, guys, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Devontae Smith, because when everybody's talking about A.J. Brown, the best receiver ever for the Eagles, Devontae Smith is every bit as good.
Well, he's had a great start to his career, and he'll be the one this year. I expect big things out of Devontae. Merrill, what is your thought on, I don't know if I've ever asked you about Foxborough. Do you like the view there? Do you like the stadium? What's your thought about being in Foxborough for this game and calling a game there?
It's a great place to be. We have a great location. We're at about the 45-yard line. We're middle level. It's a great place to call a football game. The older the stadium, it seems, the better our view.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing with the older ones. Merrill, we appreciate you hopping on as always. Have a great broadcast tonight. We will be listening, and we'll catch up next week for our final tune-up before the start of the regular season.
Thank you, Joe. Take care, Hugh.
Hey, you too, Merrill. Have a good one.
There he goes, the voice of the Eagles, Merrill Reese. All right, we didn't talk about it today. I think we kind of talked about it before the game last week, guys, and then we went and saw it. Where are we at on this inside linebacker battle next to Zach Bond? Hugh, we talked about it on our show a lot this week. Now we get to see more of it tonight. I'm just curious to see how they deploy the two guys tonight, how much each plays, because if Campbell plays a lot tonight, it just tells me, and I know Nick Sirianni said last week he didn't play a lot last year, so they wanted to give him reps. Yes. I don't know about that. Like, if you're playing deep into the second preseason game, then you're in a battle.
You know what's funny about this, Joe, because you got a lot of angst about this week.
Because my football tells me Trotter's the better player.
No, and people were talking about, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, Joe. This is ridiculous. He's the first-round draft pick. There's a lot to be said about playing this deep into preseason. And I think Vic Fangio said it this week, Elliot, that Jihad has to play a little bit more because he has to see a little bit more. I mean, I don't think what you said was far-fetched. I really don't. I know that Jihad's the more athletic guy, but to your point, and Vic has proven this on more than one occasion, he's not going to put anybody out there he's not confident that can do what he's asking them to do.
Totally.
And Jeremiah Trotter is an instinctual. That's a word, ain't it?
You nailed that.
That's a word now.
Yeah. He's an instinctual linebacker, man. And that's what they like about him. It's something to be said about somebody that you're comfortable with in that defense that's going to go. And with all of that being said, I think there's a world where both can coexist with one another. Because they're both young linebackers. And as we know about the Philadelphia Eagles, they haven't done a great job of drafting linebackers in the past. So you don't want to let either one of them go. So I'm long talking a little bit, but I think that this year you're probably going to see both of them play quite a bit. And I think that there are going to be certain packages where you can have them on the field. You got to find a way to get Trotter on the field, man. You have to find a way to get him on the field.
Elliot, if you had to guess right now, week 1 against the Commanders, who has more snaps?
So I would guess Jihad. I agree with Hugh that I think this is something where you can have Jeremiah Trotter out there maybe on obvious running downs. Maybe you put Jihad out there in obvious passing downs. So how Jihad plays against the run, I think, will be very important. And then, conversely, how Jeremiah Trotter Jr. looks against the pass. Jihad is a better athlete than Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is, but Vic said Trotter looks faster this year simply because he's played in the defense and he can use his instincts more. Normally when a player is playing deep into a preseason game, and Jihad didn't play deep into the game last week for what it's worth. He was out there after 2 series.
But he played.
Yeah. Which is noteworthy. Yeah. He's the only one that did play. Makuba didn't play, right? And Makuba didn't play much safety last year.
Which, to the point of who needs reps, I'm like, huh?
So, but I do believe Fangio that he wants Jihad to see a lot more. He wants him to get those reps. But that speaks to Jihad has a lot to learn. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. was literally born to be a linebacker. Like, this is in his blood, right? So Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I think, could go out there week 1 and to a certain degree do what the Eagles need him to do. But Jihad, I think, has in a way a higher upside because of his athletic ability. And I think he can disrupt the quarterback a little bit more than Jeremiah Trotter Jr. can.
Yeah, well, I'm fascinated by that tonight. How much they each play and who plays better tonight. That's one to watch. All right, coming up, Elliot's 3 keys. Who's he watching tonight? Players to watch. We'll hit that next. This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Ready, set, summer with the Honda Summer Event. With impressive efficiency and sport-tuned suspension, the Honda Civic and HR-V have all you need to get summer ready with the most fuel-efficient full-line automaker in America. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 3.99% APR on a 2027 HR-V.
Contact your local Honda dealer today.
See dealer for financing details. Based on EPA estimate of 2024 large full-line automaker fleet-wide fuel economy. EPA Automotive Trends Report 2025.
Kick off game day the right way this season with Hers, the snack that's rooted in Philly. They've been a hometown favorite for nearly 8 decades and counting. So when you say their first team all flavor, you can taste it. Hers runs a deep roster of unbelievable flavors like zesty, sour cream and onion, sweet and smoky honey barbecue, and slightly spicy jalapeno kettle chips. So next Birds game, you can't help but go for 2. Bags, that is. Hers, rooted in flavor.
If your water heater doesn't say Bradford White, you're missing out. Our products work harder, longer, and more efficiently. Every tank is manufactured right here in America using the finest components from around the world. Only available through trusted wholesale distributors and installed by pros, not DIY. We're professional grade from start to finish. When it comes to water heaters, leave it to the professionals. Bradford White, built to be the best.
Birds fans will tell you, the other team might not notice the early warning signs of trouble, like the quick hits, the pressured throws, the third and longs. Heart failure can sneak up on you too. The early warning signs can be subtle: sudden weight gain, loss of appetite, persistent cough, and more. It's a serious condition that needs expert care from a team like Deborah Heart and Lung Center. So if something's just not right, take a time out and ask a Deborah specialist. DemandDeborah.org.
From pregame rituals to post-game celebrations, no city is more passionate than Philly. Independence Blue Cross takes that same passion and puts it towards caring, making it easier to get the care you need, when and where you need it. Learn more at ibx.com/cares. Independence Blue Cross. Never stop caring.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to install a mailbox.
Let's go.
But there's one critical step before digging.
Wait, what?
Call 811 to have utility companies mark their underground lines. Failure to do so will result in catastrophic gas line damage. This message will not self-destruct, but your yard might if you don't contact 811 before you dig. Visit pa1call.org.
Maybe I should have listened to the home message first.
In Philly, we go all out for what we believe in. And at Lincoln Financial, we're no different. Since 2003, we've been proudly flying alongside Eagles fans everywhere. Since 1905, we've been helping Americans with retirement, protection, and benefit solutions built to last. 120 years in, and just like the Birds, we have no plans on slowing down. Lincoln Financial, the name behind the link. Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates. Copyright 2025.
When it's game time for your business, trust Imperial Brady to get you across the goal line. As a national distributor of cleaning, facility care, food service, and industrial packaging supplies, they equip your team with the right gear and the playbook to match. Fast delivery, reliable results. Real pros who know the field. At Imperial Brady, they don't just deliver boxes, they're calling winning plays. To get started, visit ImperialBrady.com. Proud partner in sustainability of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hey, it's Devontae Smith. Hear me scoring touchdowns all season long, right here on 94 WIP.
You're listening to the Verizon Business Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Business Pregame Show. Hugh Douglas, Elliott Shore-Parks, Joe Giglio, as we get set for kickoff around 7 o'clock tonight between the Eagles and the Patriots. And let's get to one of our favorite segments of the week, ESP's Three Keys.
3 Keys with ESP.
This is what people are waiting for. The keys to the game brought to you by United Tire for the best tire prices anywhere. Don't drive alone. Drive United. Elliott, what are you thinking tonight?
Yeah, let's start with somebody that's not going to be on the playing field, not going to be on the sideline. He's going to be up in the booth for the first time as an Eagles coordinator. Sean Mannion, I think how he enjoys calling the game tonight, it's a major key. It might be the most important thing that happens. So speaking earlier in the week, he said he has watched games from the booth before. I think his first year in Green Bay, he was up there. But last year, he was on the field. So he is, trying this all out. He was on the field last week. He said he thought it went well in terms of just the communication. Obviously, the results certainly didn't go very well. And tonight, he'll be up in the booth. So I think there's pros and cons to it. The pro is get as much information as you can. Might as well try it out. The con is this guy doesn't even know where he likes to coach from yet. So you can just see that he is a young coordinator and he is still trying to figure this whole thing out.
Elliot, question for you that I'm wondering if it plays into this. typically, look, there's been a lot of coordinators here over the years.
Yeah.
Does Jalen communicate one-on-one on the bench with his coordinator a lot, or is it more the quarterback coach that talks to him in between? Because if it's the coordinator, then maybe that pushes Mannion to be with him on the sideline. But if Jalen more talks to his quarterback coach, then maybe Mannion, it's not necessary.
So it seems like it's the coordinator. Like you would see Patullo sitting next to him a lot. Now he does talk to the quarterback coach as well. That's part of it. I do believe ultimately that Mannion will end up on the sideline. But, I got to say, I think being up in the booth really does provide you a bird's eye view of all this.
Vic is up there.
Yeah, Vic is up there. Like, you can, now
you can see the whole field.
You can see the whole field. You can see substitutions and all these things. So I think he'll end up on the field for the exact reason you just said. He's a former player. I'm sure he probably likes feeling part of the action. He can talk to Jalen Hurts. But there's benefits from being up in the booth as well. So how he enjoys that tonight, what he thinks of it, how the communication is, the substitutions, all those things, that'll be the indicator. Not so much the results, but just the process and the alignment and the detail, as they like to say.
Very quickly, and this might only matter to Hugh and I, but we thought during the draft that Sean Mannion, the phrase we use on our show is "come on home." He came on home. He shaved his head.
Yes.
I saw hair coming out of the back of the hat last week.
He's got hair.
Now he grew it all back.
Well, I've not seen him without a hat in some time, so I think it is. He's definitely got some lettuce, as the hockey guys would say, coming out. Yeah, I mean, he's a football guy. Like, it looks like he wears the same hat every day. He's got some sweat stains on there. He's got a hole in his shirt. So, like, he is locked in on football right now.
We need to figure out
what happened with that hair.
Like,
or maybe he went to the men's club or something.
Yeah, it would have been a quick one.
I think that usually takes time. All right, Elliot, how about person number 2, player number 2 we're looking for tonight?
So, number 2, I think he's going to make the team, but he could end up being an important part of this team, and that's Drew Kendall. Drew Kendall is going to be the top backup, I believe, at all 3 interior spots. I know Willie Lampkin started at center last week, I believe, and, he's gotten reps at center in training camp, obviously, with the backup unit, but I think Kendall would be the first one to go in there. But really the key spot is the guards, because Landon Dickerson, coming off a year where he actually played every game but one, I think, but really labored through that season. He says he feels good now. I thought he had some one-on-one reps against the Patriots where he struggled. He's wearing a sleeve on his leg now. I don't believe he did that at the start of the camp, and he's the only offensive lineman that has missed practice time. He had a 1 rest day. So, you hope he feels good. He can be an outstanding player when he does, but would it shock me if Drew Kendall got out there at some point this season? Absolutely not. So how Drew Kendall plays tonight in the snaps he does get, if he's out there, will be important.
When we had Jordan Davis on the show about 2 weeks ago, I asked him, give us someone under the radar that's having a good camp, and he talked about Drew Kendall. Like,
they love Drew Kendall down there.
Really
the players don't like going against him, and the coaches really like him.
All right, how about player number 3 to watch tonight?
So a downside of the offense struggling so much last week is we didn't get a Jake Elliott field goal attempt, right? We got the extra point, if I remember correctly, but they did not get to attempt a field goal. Jake Elliott kicked the ball a lot in New England. I didn't see every kick, but he had a period where there was 5 kicks and he missed 3 of them. So in a season where we know there's a lot of pressure on him, Jake's kicked in big games. I don't think he's going to be nervous going out there to kick tonight, but let's be real. When he goes on the field tonight to potentially take a 45-yard field goal, a 50-yard field goal, there's pressure there. If he misses that becomes a story. And if I'm the coaches, I actually think tonight you want to coach in situational football to get Jake Elliott some attempts, right? Like, maybe don't go for it on 4th or like that. So I would like to see Jake Elliott get an attempt tonight.
Well, and, if the team is what we think it's going to be, there's probably going to be close games, right? Like, early in the season, if the offense is trying to find its way, Hugh, and the defense is keeping them in the game, every kick he attempts could swing the whole game, right? Like, if you tell me right now Jake Elliott has a huge year, that could take a team that maybe is, 9-8 and make him 12-5. You know what I mean? Like, he could swing 2 or 3 games if he's the guy he used to be.
Yeah, no question about that, man. And it's kind of telling that, they believe in Jake because there was actually no competition. So I think that's where the concern lies, is the fact that, when you watch him and he goes out there and he tries to make these kicks and he doesn't, we really don't have a plan B when it comes to that. You know what I mean? That's probably why a lot of people are feeling the way that they're feeling about it.
As much as people love to throw blame at A.J. Brown for that playoff loss, Jake Elliott missed an extra point in that game. They lost by 4. If he makes that extra point, you're probably kicking the game-tying field goal at the end of that game instead of going for it for that famous, all Verts play. So, the kicking did hurt. Yeah, the kicking did hurt them last year in the playoffs.
Well, and to your point on that, I mean, the narrative around that game is Jalen led them down to the game-tying field goal. Maybe they win in overtime.
Exactly.
The story's just different. I mean, the game ended the way it did because they were down 4 points. All right, coming up, our predictions tonight, who we're looking out for. This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Small business owners love what they do, and Verizon Business loves small business owners. That's why Verizon Business experts come directly to you, so you can spend more time doing what you love. Their experts show up on your schedule, ready to offer proven expertise and learn about the needs of your specific setup firsthand. And they won't quit until the solutions fit, even as your business grows. So save the time and stay where your business needs you the most. Verizon Business. Visit Verizon.com/book today to schedule an appointment with your local Verizon Business expert.
This is Mike Quick. PDQ POS is the MVP of point-of-sale solutions. Easy to use with the best support in the industry, and it doesn't take a bite out of your sales with costly fees. It's the choice of all concept food service businesses across the country. PDQ POS has real-time analytics and insights to evaluate your team and your play call. PDQ POS has been rated the #1 point of sale by restaurant owners for more than 35 years. So don't wait. Make the switch. PDQ POS today. Visit pdqpos.com.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ratliff, Engineering Director at Nissan. You know, some things are important to hear from an expert, not a voice actor. For instance, the Nissan Frontier is not only powerful and fun to drive, but it's durable too. We added the V6 engines. When you need that power in the off-road, it's there. I know, we've tested it a lot. Now get out there and find your Frontier.
Nissan, Consumer Guide's most awarded brand 5 years in a row. Well-qualified buyers get 0% APR on the 2026 Nissan Rogue, Murano, Pathfinder, or Frontier, excluding S-Trim. Consumer Guide is a registered trademark of Publication International Limited, www.consumerguide.com. Example, 0 down payment, 60 months financing at $1,667 per month per thousand financed. Frontier S-Trim 1.9% APR for 60 months at $1,748 per month per thousand financed. Actual down payment may vary, subject to NMAC credit approval. Not all buyers qualify. Dealer contribution may affect actual price set by dealer. Contact dealer for details. Ends 9/30/26.
Hi, I'm Greg.
And I'm Bill. We're two of the owners of United Tire and Service.
United Tire is proud to congratulate Merrill Reese on an incredible 50 years behind the microphone, calling unforgettable game day moments for Birds fans everywhere.
Merrill, you're truly the GOAT. Thanks for 5 decades.
We're honored to celebrate this milestone with you.
To celebrate 50 years of Merrill, all customers can get $50 off 2 or more tires or any automotive service. See stores for details.
Don't drive alone. Drive United.
This is Len Lundy of Lundy Law. Every year, millions are hurt in car accidents. The numbers are overwhelming. But if you're injured in an accident, don't feel overwhelmed. Call Lundy Law. We remove the stress and get you the maximum compensation you deserve. We hope we never meet because of an accident. But if we do, we're here for you. Remember our name, Lundy Law. Your injury lawyers. Call 1-800-LUNDY-LAW or visit LundyLaw.com.
When it's game time for your business, trust Imperial Brady to get you across the goal line. As a national distributor of cleaning, facility care, food service, and industrial packaging supplies, they equip your team with the right gear and the playbook to match. Fast delivery, reliable results. Real pros who know the field. At Imperial Brady, they don't just deliver boxes, they're calling winning plays. To get started, visit ImperialBrady.com. Proud partner in sustainability of the Philadelphia Eagles.
The pros know nobody beats FW Web. With extensive inventory, personalized service, and a fleet of trucks across the Northeast, FW Web supports all customers, from one-van contractors to large facility operators. For planned projects, emergency jobs, or maintenance, FW Web has what you need, when and where you need it. For plumbing, heating, HVAC, refrigeration, propane gas, and PVF jobs. With over 100 locations, visit FWWeb.com to find one near you.
Hear Nick Sirianni's presser after the game on 94 WIP. This is the Verizon Business Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Business Pregame Show alongside Hugh Douglas and Elliott Shore-Parks. I am Joe Giglio. Tonight, the Eagles and the Patriots preseason game number 2. All right, it's time for our predictions here, which, you know, bring a little more heat during the regular season, obviously, because we're predicting wins or losses, and tonight that doesn't matter. But
only the joint practice win-loss matters, not the preseason. Yeah.
And we know Sirianni and Hurts have done very well in these joint
11-4.
Yeah. And as you told us this week, Hurts is a joint practice riser.
He is. Yeah. Now, wasn't as much this time, 5 interceptions in 2 practices. But overall, when he's been in these joint practices, he does what he does in the regular season. He wins.
Would you say Jalen is more, like you could trust him more in a joint practice or a playoff game?
I mean, probably, is there a difference, I guess, would be my question. But, yeah, I would say probably more in a playoff game. But, man, in these joint practices,
I think I would choose joint practice. I think he's just more consistent in the joint practice.
Day 2, joint practice, game on the line, he led a touchdown drive to win the practice. Like, that's what you want to see from a franchise quarterback.
Well, and I would have hit the panic button on Friday. He was laughing. If they didn't win
if they lost both, I agree, 100%.
I mean, Elliot and I would have just overtaken this pregame show with panic. Just total panic.
Never lost back-to-back joint practices under Sirianni and Hurts.
I love the seriousness when he says it, though. That's what I love about ESP. He is dead-ass serious about
11-4.
Yeah,
well, I'm
4-1 against the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm dead serious on this. They need a good showing on offense tonight. And my prediction is, and this might be a bold one, guys, they're going to score a touchdown in the first quarter tonight. They're going to move the ball on the Patriots. You know what? Now deep down, I know last week was bad because you're doing the oohs and ahs to a first quarter touchdown.
No, it's just funny the way you said that because there's some truth to that because you want to go out. I want to go out there tonight and I want to see them get in and out of the huddle. I want to see them have at least the first drive.
Hold on, before you go on. This is how low the bar is being set.
No.
How about no penalty on the first play?
No, thank you.
Yes,
this isn't Pop Warner.
First of all, Joe, it's not like I'm trying to diminish what we want to see, but that's what got them off schedule last week.
It did.
Was the fact that they had penalties, and you don't want to start a game like that, especially when think about it like this: the first 10 to 15 plays of any football game are scripted, and so when you go out there and they're scripted for shock and all purposes. So if you go out there and you're trying to get something cheap without getting into your full offense, into your full game plan, right, and you start plays off schedule, it throws everything off. Because two things you want to do. You want to go out there, you want to get the defense on their heels a little bit, and you want to have plays that gets your quarterback comfortable and in a rhythm of what you want your offense to ultimately be. And so if you go out there, in the first couple plays, you have a false start. Or you have something like that, or somebody lines up in the wrong formation and pushes you back. Now everything's off schedule, and you got to get that back and then try to get back into a rhythm.
So I know everyone last year blamed Patullo for the fact they were always behind schedule. And I think this year with Mannion, obviously a first-year coordinator, this isn't something tonight, but I will say sooner or later, you got to stop hearing about they're behind schedule. That's a Nick problem sooner or later. Mm-hmm. So tonight, I want to see a more disciplined football team, right? After what happened last week, did Nick get this in line during week? It's the backups, but was the message sent to the backups hey, you can't be playing this sloppy football?
So I agree with you. And I also think it matters what kind of penalties. If they are pre-snap penalties, that to me is on the head coach. Is everyone buttoned up? Mm-hmm. But I think you and I talked about this a little bit last year. I started to wonder if the holding penalties were more of a representation of they weren't as good as they were the year before. Right, you're getting beat, right, and then you hold so the guy doesn't hit your running back or your quarterback. That could be maybe they're not quite where they need to be in terms of their skill set at this point.
Yeah, and look, we'll find out here shortly. But I know Spadero said he thought it might be Andy Dalton. To me, Andy Dalton starting would be extremely interesting. If I'm Tanner McKee, I'm saying, all right, so I didn't get to start the last game. I'm not starting this one. Apparently, you guys still like me as much as you used to. So what's going on here? So I think Andy Dalton starting tonight would be very telling.
Okay, if we go, let's use the Andy Dalton thing. If Andy Dalton starts tonight, he's the number 2 quarterback. That's the way I would view it.
Yeah, and then it's interesting to see if he plays next week.
That's what I was going to if he's the number 2, I wouldn't play him next week.
Agreed.
Why would you get your number 2 hurt? So then it becomes a McKee showcase, a Cole Payton game. That becomes interesting next week because then how do they deploy them next week?
Yeah, now you can't make the argument you're kind of tipping your cap to Andy Dalton to say you're the veteran, you get to start these games,
right.
But it's competition. I mean, in theory they should rotate. So I'm very interested to see here in 20 minutes who's out there.
Well, and then here when Dave Spadero was on with us, he kind of defended Tanner McKee and still said the Eagles still believe in him, but he said when Tanner's out there with
comparable or serviceable players, he does really well.
Well, but then shouldn't they give him then that would say give him the nod to see what he could do with the guys that start tonight? Because once you get to the second or third quarter, then you're deeper into the depth chart.
Yeah, one would think that, but I think that you want Andy Dalton to get the reps because he's the guy that when you talk about has seen more live fire drills, if you will. Yeah. He's the guy that has more of the pedigree of being out there.
We know you're an Andy Dalton guy.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just that, why else would you bring him here if you've already got Tanner?
100%.
Then why didn't they trade Tanner already?
You know what I mean? Because they're waiting to see. They're waiting to see how it works out for him, I guess. It's a valid question, especially when you have Dave so adamant about they still believe in Tanner McKee. Okay, well, why is Andy Dalton here?
And look, Spadero knows what he's talking about, right?
He got boots on the ground.
It is an interesting observation from him. for sure.
Yeah. All right. What do we think? Let's end with this. Cole Payton tonight. He's going to have touchdown, turnover, both.
He's made for the preseason.
I love it.
I mean, he is
wait.
made for the fourth quarter of the preseason. So he's got some serious upside. I'm excited to watch him tonight as well.
Yeah. And what do you have, like 40 yards rushing and 2 drives?
Yeah. He's like Tim Tebow out there.
He has a little bit of that. And he's big and a lefty.
I don't think you like Tim Tebow. It's not like the bar.
In college it was, yeah.
But a lefty that's big and physical and can run.
I get what you're saying, but
I still see Tim Tebow jerseys out there with the Eagles.
I'm just saying, Tim Tebow. Nobody, I don't think that makes anybody excited. Ooh, he's Tim Tebow.
How about Mark Brunell? You like Mark Brunell better? Yeah, Mark Brunell.
Okay, I'll take Mark Brunell. Yeah.
I think the Eagles would too if he turns into anything like a Mark Brunell. But the Tebow composition. All right, that that's gonna wrap up the Verizon Business pregame. You got a score prediction for us?
Yeah,
give me a
28-7 Eagles.
Well, a blowout.
It's gonna be a blowout.
You should have led the segment with that. A blowout, says Hugh Douglas. Remember to stay tuned after the game for the PDQ Restaurant Point of Sales post-game show with Tom Kelly and Rob Ellis. For Elliot Shore Parks and Hugh Douglas, I'm Joe Gillian. Now stay tuned for Merrill and Mike as they bring you all the action on the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94